Happy birthday, Taurus seekers. Wow. Another year around the sun. Hey, that's big. Welcome back to the Existential Shift. If you're new, pleasure. My name is Morgane. Thank you all for being here. Okay. 3 of Pentacles. So, sometimes it's simply good, right? Sometimes you're building something and it's working out. And there's cooperation and there's flow and things kind of happen. Hangman and Knight of Wands. This is the Light Seers Tarot, by the way. Taurus, I see you maneuvering chi, life force. I think some of you have attained incredible amount of knowledge. The Hangman is also the archetype of Odin when he hung himself from the Yggdrasil tree, also known as the Tree of Life, to have the lake show him the runes. Runes are the secrets to life. And it seems so effortless in this deck, right? Maybe to the outside, it might seem so effortless, so joyous, Knight of Wands. Like things are just fiery and positive and lucky for you. Oh, Taurus, you're so lucky. Little do they know you had to hang yourself from an Yggdrasil tree for 9 days, maybe in your case 9 years. For some of you 900 years, I don't know. I'm not saying you're 900 years old. I'm insinuating reincarnations. 3 of Pentacles is also Capricorn energy. It's a very ancient element. It's the most ancient part of Earth. And together with the element of fire here in the Knight of Wands, fire tends to scorn Earth, especially fast-paced fire like the Knight of Wands. Especially when it comes to dry, deep Earth, like in the 3 of Pentacles, because it's one of those things it's like building a house with very deep roots and 2-3 levels of underground basements, and secret chambers and tunnels that lead to all kinds of, it's that castle that is surrounded with a circled lake, right? And underground of the castle, there are underground tunnels that lead to the outside. And over there's this, to the outside, it might seem that the resident of that castle, all they do is, eat and drink and party, but they actually gather in the underground chambers and study and practice and do energy work. For some of you, I'm picking chanting, especially because the drum here is really, I'm picking up like a very tribal-like chanting. But it's an interesting integration between like deep, rooted studies of wisdom with, not surface level, but light-hearted joy and energy and flow and movement. I see both sitting stagnant and internalizing the universe while simultaneously dancing. None of these cards are master level, yet I'm getting mastery out of them. It's almost like, true masters don't flaunt themselves as masters. They walk into a room as a student. we all are students always anyway. It's not a facade, but they're tapped into that beginner's mind all the time, which is the very thing that sustains their mastery, right? That keeps them in constant growth and expansion and knowledge. But, you know, to the outside environment, they seem almost like it's impossible to understand for some people how you do it towards how. So they assume it's luck. They're like, oh, it must be luck. They can't fathom the level of work that some of you have put in, the level of focus, the level of sacrifice here with the Hangman, the level of, you know, blind optimism that is required here with the Knight of Wands to continue this path, to continue trying, to continue evolving, to continue doing what you're doing, because it's constantly being in the upside down, right? There's so much blood flowing down to your head, and it's always putting so much pressure on your skull and on your head and on your brain and on your entire system. And yet it gives so much, it brings with it so much knowledge of life to your brain, right? Because in our blood, there's all the memory. There's all the memory. Our biological memory, our past lifetimes memory, our emotional memory, our spiritual memory, like the bone and the calcium in the bone, the blood itself, it carries the Akashic records of you. And most people, you know, they're not constantly conscientious of it. It's like when I raise my hand and lift this cup and drink, glass, it's not that I have to focus and put my attention. It's seemingly it's automatic. To my experience, it's automatic, but so much is happening in my system in order to give the commands to my hand to do it and drink and all that. It's such a intricate, complex process that seems so simple even to yourself. So that's the level I'm picking up on. For some of you, where you've reached a point where you managed to do some things that are so intricate and so complex and so incredible, but it seems so lighthearted, and it's just not something most people around you can fathom. So if you get a lot, oh, Taurus, you're so lucky, or how do they do that? Maybe they have a sugar daddy or a sugar mommy or something like that, or like, you can't, there's nothing for you to, you can't do anything about it. I wish I could give you an advice on how to handle it, how to, not to compare certain people to worms. Oh my God, this is going to sound bad, but it's an analogy, okay, that I like to give that applies to dimensions, right? So a worm, for example, lives only in a 2-dimension kind of reality, okay, where it only understands and grasps flat surface. So a worm understands backwards, forward, right, left, like on the flat surface, but it doesn't have the capacity to grasp space, the 3-dimensional reality that we as humans and animals live in, right? So if something comes from above it and squashes it, it doesn't understand anything. It doesn't sense anything coming from above. It's 1 second it's there, and then the next it's squashed. Anyway, so I'm sorry for the analogy. Anyone who's cross-watching for Taurus and doesn't understand a Taurus, or think the Taurus in their life is lucky somehow, and they're trying to understand how they do what they do. It's not that you can't understand. Many of you, of course, have the capacity to grasp if you'll just listen to what I'm saying and also study the human consciousness further. However, back to you, Taurus, a lot of people in your life are in that worm-like level of understanding. Their world is full compared to how their world can be full, but where you're at, they don't understand. So trying to explain that to them is like trying to explain 3-dimension to a worm. It's like trying to explain 4-dimension, 5th dimension, and 6th dimension to a human. We theoretically understand it, some of us, and we seek for it, but we philosophize on it, we theorize on it, we experience it in our sleep. We go to the fourth dimension, and in lucid dreaming we might be visiting other dimensions, or in astral projection, or in very deep states of meditation. But by the great most parts, we don't get it. Even when we read about it and think we understand it theoretically, we don't get it. Like, you get this, right? So what I'm saying is, it's something you're gonna have to, you need to live with right now at this point, and find compassion in your heart. And I'm not saying it's not frustrating. It can be. I can only imagine it can be frustrating AF, and it's probably a lonely existence. But here's the advice: instead of trying to show people the dimension that you're on, okay, instead of trying to show a land animal the depth of the ocean, seek like-minded, like-spirited individuals. There will be few of them. It's going to take time, but as long as you don't put your focus on it, and instead you put your focus on trying to make people see what they can't see or understand or appreciate or acknowledge, you're just, it's just going to take longer. The way to do it: go have fun. Truth is in the joy. Frequency is in the joy. Your true frequency comes out when you're joyous. Be happy. Do happy things. Do really fun, simple things, and it will really attract people who can see you. Okay? What did I just say? 10 of Pentacles. This is amazing. Your tribe, your legacy, your heritage, your future heritage. You're drawing in your ancestral wisdom. It's like your ancestors are just waking up around you, like from their deathly slumber, because your blood is boiling and it smells familiar to them, and they come. And that sounded scary. I don't mean like in a vampiric way. I mean like they're drawn to your life force, because your life force is their life force. And it makes them curious about the living again. So some of you might experience like visitors. You deal with it the way you see fit. Everyone is on their journey when it comes to those things. But I'm picking up on a flickering light. If in the next month, during May, welcome to Taurus season, by the way, this is for May, you see a flickering light that you don't understand why it flickers, it's a loved one saying hi. Possibly an ancestor. It will vary with you guys, and I'm picking up like on things coming through energetically through drumming. I see a lot of interaction with children, with animals, with community, with different people whom you normally wouldn't think you'd be drawn to or connect with. Okay. Oh, wow. This is incredible. This reading is incredible to us. Ta-da! The Death card, the Transformation card. Rebirth. If you're thinking about visiting a mountain, I'm picking it up very strongly. Feel free to do so this month. Something about clear night sky with stars and tall, pointy trees. Don't go alone if you can. But something about maybe spending a night out in nature on a mountain in a tent. I don't think you should go alone. I don't think so. I think we'll drive this home. We'll trigger more memories I think we're all made of stardust, right? We're made of cells that are made of molecules, that are made of atoms, that are made of elementals, that are made of stardust. And I feel like the stardust in you is, because you're becoming so conscientious, everything about you is becoming conscientious and is waking up. So the stardust that is you is waking up, and it seeks connection to, well, stardust outside of it. What am I trying to say? I feel like your entire mechanism, your entire being is really, it's, you know what it's like? It's like waking up from a coma really thirsty. Like really thirsty and just needing to drink a lot of water. So your mechanism is waking up to itself, and it really wants to interact with what feeds it, which is itself in a way. So being in with the elements, being like on sleeping next to a stream under the stars, hearing the breeze of the wind, the breeze of the whoosh of the leaves in the tree from the breeze, smelling pine, picking up on pine trees, and sandalwood. I think it could be very invigorating for you. It's like you're back. It's like you're back. And for some people, it's going to be like, who is Taurus? What happens to them? They've changed so much. Some, people will view you as someone who's went through incredible transformation, but it's not a new you. It's an ancient you that is coming back. And that's incredible. And I do see you making very long-lasting, deep connections. I see a major change when it comes to family. Big change. Something that you've endured major sacrifice in. And it was because you needed to find your freedom. It was inevitable. You had to find yourself, so you had to go away from so many people, from so many communities, connections. You went deep into the stardust of the elementals, of the atoms, of the molecules, of the cells, of your existence, and of life. And I see some of you that have created so much. And now with the Ten of Pentacles here, some of you are going to have an incredible level of manifestation to your creations. Okay, yeah, let's talk about it. So we're going to have on the 30th of April, right, which would really officially mark your season, even though we're already in Taurus season as I'm recording this, but it will be the new moon in Taurus with a solar eclipse. And the interesting thing about it is this is now I'm thinking it. So when the sun is in a zodiac sign, the earth is in the opposite sign, right? So if the sun now is in Taurus in your sign, earth is in Scorpio. Okay? And the sun is eclipsed on the 30th of April. It's going to be an eclipse. So it will be hidden. And the way I see it for a moment, it's almost like all the energy will be on Earth. I think I'm picking up that the Scorpio in you, and in every Taurus there's a Scorpio, and every Scorpio there's a Taurus, just like it is with all the axes of the zodiac sign, right? In every Leo there's an Aqua, and every Aqua there's a Leo, and so on and so forth. So I think the Scorpio in you is going to be really triggered, really awakened, which is the ancient wisdom of, Taurus and Scorpio are the axis of life and death. So and I'm picking up, it's like it's almost like the empty space between the stardust, between the elementals and the elements and the atom. And I hope I'm not losing you with all this talk, but the aspect within you, the deepest aspects within you, the most intense one, the most ancient ones, are going to really, it's going to be like an alarm clock, this eclipse. And then it's going to be followed on the 15th of May with a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. In those first 2 weeks of the month of May, you're going to go through an incredibly intense level of transformation and reawakening to some very deep ancient aspects of you, Taurus. I know you thought that happened to you before. It has, but in increments. This one is going to be like the final showdown. It's almost like it's been what's the word? Like the dress rehearsal so far of the awakening, and now this is showtime. It's awakening showtime, and it's all like conjunct with Uranus. You've had Uranus in your sign since 2018. You've experienced many changes on the outside. Your exterior life constantly went through changes, and it really shook your system and forced your inner system to transform in accordance. Now it reached a point where your system, where the outside is going to be seemingly quiet, right? Your exterior reality is going to be seemingly quiet, but that will make room for the inner reality to just roar. So I'm picking up on something very powerful for you guys, especially in the first 2 weeks. Now, eclipses have long-term effects. This can take months. You can feel it for months. You probably have already felt it. But if I give the analogy of, let's say, transferring between one universe to another universe, and let's say the portal between them and the bridge between them would be going through a black hole, let's say, then those 2 weeks are when you're going through the black hole. I have a theory where black holes is where the Akashic records are, and I see them as runes because runes are the secrets of life. They're an ancient divination tool that I read runes for you guys in the end of our extended, by the way. So if you want to, and I also do runes readings regularly on Patreon for my patrons, my shifters. Just an FYI. But anyway, so I'm picking up like those 2 weeks. It's like within you. Okay, so there are 24 runes in the ancient Futalk, and I'm picking up like in those 2 weeks, like rune after rune after rune within you, like ancient wisdom, an archetype of different ancient wisdom is just like being triggered and triggered and triggered, like light bulbs turning up. You know, like when you turn on a light bulb, like when you turn on the lights, so you see one light bulb after the other just turns on, and it's like, take vitamin D, a lot of it. Vitamin D is known to, it's actually a hormone, a type of a hormone, it not a bad kind. It's actually known to wake up sleeping, dormant DNA. It takes time. If you haven't been doing so yet, start doing so and be patient with it. It takes a couple of weeks for the body to even start absorbing the vitamin D, let alone start, working with it. But just take it regularly and daily. It's just gonna, like, you'll do the physical alignment with the energetic process by doing so, and that will sync together and strengthen the process. But it's going to be like a whirlwind, but it's also going to be peaceful. I don't even know how to, I feel like a worm trying to understand the world of a human. But it's just what I'm picking up on. The extended will focus on your love life. We'll do a special double pentagram reading It will be a look into you and your person of interest and how things will unfold between the two of you in the coming months. And then we'll do the runes. And it's available both on Vimeo and on Patreon. I really hope to see you on either, but especially on Patreon. It's my little garden of a little community within a bigger community of shifters, seekers and seers and shifters. And I hope you'll consider joining. Check it out, because you have all the VIP content plus extendeds for unlimited streaming over there. Okay, let's summarize this reading, please, before we move on to the extended. My beautiful Taurians, happy birthday. I'm sorry, I actually wanted to show you. There we go. Hey, little Buddha. Show me a little bit more for Taurus for this month. Did you see my video where I was assembling my bed? Check it out. It's weird, but it's cute. Okay, more for Taurus for this coming month, please. Message for Taurus. What else? Anything else? Queen of Cups. Yeah, Taurus. You're stepping into, some of you are stepping in also into very psychic powers. Like, oh my God, bottom of the deck, the star. And judgment, okay. Okay, all right. This is incredible. So the major arcanas that we have here are the Hangman, the Death card, the Star, and Judgment. I see you really conveying with spirit, both universal spirit, source itself, but through the link, but you do it, okay. There's a string between you and source. We all have this string, this connection, this string of consciousness, like a wire. Right? That wire is your own higher self. You can't connect to source without connecting to your own higher self. Right? It's like levels of consciousness. You can't connect to multiplying numbers before you connect with adding and subtracting numbers, right? It's just how things kind of are reliant on one another. It's not a matter of hierarchy. It's a matter of reliant of the material from which we're made of. Okay, the materials reliant on each other in order to create the bigger picture. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, watch my oneness consciousness versus communism, the differences, and how evil puppeteers good people. It's a 13th element that I also just recently made. Check it out as well. Anyway, back to this. Those of you with psychic abilities and deep intuition, it's going to be very triggered. Very triggered. You're going into the deep that is the high. What do I mean by that? So there's the old saying that a tree can only grow as tall as the depth of its roots. Because everything is a cycle. Nothing is truly linear or horizontal. There are no lines in math. It's a concept that we invented. If we continue a line, continue, because the earth is round, eventually the end will be the beginning. Everything is cyclical. Up is down. It's not just a philosophical notion. Okay, the higher you go, the deeper you go, and vice versa. So something about your process is really being tapped into those, like some of you are going so deep into ancient wisdom and shadow work and past lifetimes knowledge that it brings you like a fast forward to the future. Right? The deeper you go into the past, the broader you go into the future. The lower you go into your shadow work, the higher you climb into your light being work. Okay, it's all, and I know it's hard to grasp because we live in Newtonian laws of physics where there's gravitation and there's flying and then there's falling and it can't be the same, and yet it is. And you're just, okay, and anyway, for nothing that I will say could fully explain this. You will experience this and then you'll understand it. If this reading seems really ethereal for you right now, come back to this in 2-3 weeks. If you're still not feeling it, come back here a few years from now. I'm not kidding. Mark this reading. It will be very, very helpful for the time where you will be conscientious to this process and to this level of consciousness. There is ascension here. There's mad ascension here. And I don't think I said mad for no reason. I think this combination, some people might view you as mad while others might view you as brilliant. Right? There's that saying, the psychotic swims in the same waters in which the mystique swims in delight. No, the psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystique swims in delight. Some people might be viewing you as drowning as you are swimming in delight. In delight and in the light. But those of you who dance to a rhythm that others can't hear, thus seem mad, will see someone else dancing with you, right next to you. Or at least that person will be able to recognize you because they hear the same music. They're tapped into similar level of consciousness, frequency, vibration. They will feel your movement. They don't even need to hear the rhythm, although they will. You are being crowned by spirit, Taurus, and that creates a crowning in the 3D world, in the reality. If you're not sure, if you're new to this world and you don't understand the words I'm saying, 3D means the three-dimensional world, everything around you. It's basically our life. When you hear someone says 3D reality, it's just the reality as you know it. Okay, it's as simple as that. I think I made a very old video a long time ago, also a 13th element, about the difference between dimensions. I might link it as well at the end of the video. You might see the videos that I spoke about. There are deep feelings. Some of you are going to find yourself reading in the stars, like, you know, when you look at the stars at night, when it's a clear night and you can see the stars, it's like it will speak to you, like a form of divination that is very intuitive, you know. It's not necessarily a language that you can, you know, articulate. You can articulate the message, but not necessarily the way you've gotten to it, and that's okay. Really tap into your divine femininity and your sensuality. And I mean, sensuality is not necessarily sexuality. It could play out like that, but when I mean sensuality, you can be sensual when you eat, when you walk, right? But don't do it like as an exterior sensuality, like feel it on the inside. Constantly focus on your root chakra, on your sacral chakra, and let those kind of move your body. Okay guys, I'll see you in a second in the extended. Thank you for being here. I love you. Happy birthday.